The conversation around King Charles's potential state visit to the United States and the parallel developments in Prince Harry's long-running security case has once again exposed the double standards and unfair framing that follow the Duke and Duchess of Sussex everywhere they go. Instead of centering empathy, context, and basic humanity, certain commentators have rushed to cast doubt on Prince Harry's sincerity, turning a deeply personal and sensitive situation into yet another narrative weapon. At the heart of this discussion is a simple reality that is repeatedly ignored. Prince Harry is a son whose father is battling cancer. Whatever political calendars, state visits, or constitutional procedures are taking place, that human truth does not disappear. Yet much of the media coverage seems far more interested in interrogating Harry's motives than acknowledging the complexity of the position he has been forced into. Reports suggest that King Charles may undertake a state visit to the United States in the first half of 2026, potentially meeting President Donald Trump in Washington. At the same time, Prince Harry has reportedly been granted a review of his security arrangements, a matter he has been pursuing for years, not for convenience or publicity, but for the safety of his family. The coincidence of timing has fueled speculation, but speculation is not the same as fact, and it certainly should not be used as evidence of bad faith. Some commentators, including Kinsey Schofield, have attempted to draw parallels between these events in a way that places responsibility squarely and unfairly on Prince Harry. The suggestion that it would be unrealistic for King Charles to travel to Montecito to see his son has been framed not as a logistical observation, but as a moral judgment against Harry himself. That framing deserves scrutiny. First, no credible source has ever claimed that Prince Harry expects or demands that his father travel to California for a private family visit. That idea has been largely manufactured by commentators who benefit from portraying Harry as entitled or manipulative. What Harry has consistently said, through actions rather than inflammatory words, is that he wants a safe and meaningful relationship with his father, and that security remains a genuine barrier to that. It is crucial to understand that Prince Harry's security concerns did not begin when he stepped back from royal duties. They are rooted in lived experience. He grew up watching relentless press intrusion contribute directly to the death of his mother. He has faced credible threats for decades, threats that did not magically disappear when he moved abroad. When he asks for appropriate security, he is not seeking privilege. He is seeking protection for his wife and children. The review of his security status, particularly the possibility that he may receive automatic protection upon entering the United Kingdom, is not a gift or a favour. It is a long overdue acknowledgement that his risk profile has never been ordinary. If that protection is confirmed, it does not suddenly erase the years of danger, stress, and legal battles that preceded it. The argument being pushed by critics is that if Harry now has revised security arrangements, the responsibility to visit lies solely with him and Meghan. That argument sounds neat, but it ignores reality. Security is not a switch that can be flipped overnight. Even with reassessed protection, planning a visit with 2 young children, navigating hostile media environments, and ensuring mental and physical safety takes time and careful coordination. What is particularly troubling is the suggestion that if Harry does not immediately rush to the United Kingdom with his children, it somehow proves his security campaign was insincere. This is an astonishingly cruel standard. No one else is required to prove the legitimacy of their safety concerns by placing their children in potentially stressful situations on someone else's timeline. Prince Harry has already demonstrated his willingness to travel to the UK under difficult circumstances. He has returned for court hearings, funerals, and significant events, often without the full protection afforded to other members of his family. Each visit has been scrutinised, criticised, and sometimes mocked, regardless of the personal cost to him. The BBC interview so frequently referenced by critics was not a performance. It was a rare moment of vulnerability from a man explaining why he believes the system failed him. Dismissing that interview as theatre says far more about the commentator than it does about Harry. Pain does not become invalid simply because it makes others uncomfortable. There is also a glaring omission in these discussions. Meghan Markle is almost always treated as an afterthought or a complication rather than as a central figure whose safety matters equally. The threats she has faced, many of them racially charged, are well documented. The idea that she should casually uproot her children and enter an environment that has historically been hostile to her without robust guarantees is not reasonable. It is reckless. When commentators say the responsibility lies with Harry and Meghan, they rarely acknowledge that responsibility cuts both ways. Reconciliation is not a one-sided performance. It requires openness, effort, and respect from all parties involved. The burden should not fall entirely on the son who has repeatedly been told, implicitly and explicitly, that his concerns are inconvenient. King Charles's illness adds another layer of emotional complexity. Harry has spoken before about how time is precious and how unresolved issues weigh heavily when health is uncertain. Wanting to see one's father in such circumstances is not manipulation. It is instinct. It is love mixed with regret, hope, and fear. The speculation about a detour to California during a state visit also misses the point. State visits are not personal road trips. They are tightly scheduled diplomatic events governed by protocol, security, and political considerations. Framing the absence of a private family meeting during such a visit as a moral failure is disingenuous. What is happening here is a familiar pattern. Prince Harry's actions are interpreted through the least generous lens possible. If he waits, he is accused of indifference. If he moves quickly, he is accused of opportunism. There is no version of events in which critics grant him the benefit of the doubt. Meanwhile, Meghan's silence is often weaponized against her. Her choice to stay out of these debates is framed as aloofness or calculation rather than what it likely is, a protective boundary. She has learned through experience that no explanation is ever enough for those determined to misunderstand her. The phrase sincerity keeps being thrown around as if it belongs to public commentators rather than the individuals living this reality. Sincerity is not proven by media timelines or tabloid expectations. It is shown through consistent effort, private communication, and a desire to break harmful cycles. Harry's entire public journey over the last several years has been about confronting trauma rather than burying it. It is also worth remembering that Prince Harry did not choose to make his security case public for entertainment. He did so because private channels failed. The courts, not YouTube hosts or digital tabloids, are where these matters belong. Reducing them to talking points undermines their seriousness. The idea that Harry is trying to corner King Charles with manipulative headlines collapses under even minimal scrutiny. Headlines are not written by Harry. They are written about him, often without his input or consent. Holding him responsible for media framing while simultaneously accusing him of craving attention is a contradiction that rarely gets challenged. What supporters of the Sussexes see clearly is that Harry and Meghan are navigating an impossible terrain. They are balancing family ties, personal safety, public roles, and relentless scrutiny, all while raising young children. Mistakes may happen, timing may not always align with public expectations, but that does not equate to bad faith. The obsession with forcing a narrative of insincerity says more about the discomfort some people feel when boundaries are enforced. Harry refusing to quietly accept less protection than his risk level demands is interpreted as defiance rather than self-respect. Meghan choosing peace over performative appearances is framed as distance rather than dignity. If and when Harry chooses to visit his father, that moment should be treated with compassion, not as a test he must pass to earn credibility. Family reconciliation is not a spectacle. It is fragile, non-linear, and deeply personal. Until then, the fairest position is patience. Acknowledge the complexity. Recognize that safety decisions involving children are not impulsive. Accept that love does not always look the way outsiders expect it to. Prince Harry's sincerity does not hang by a weak thread. It has been demonstrated repeatedly through his willingness to confront painful truths, challenge powerful systems, and protect his family at all costs. That is not the behavior of a manipulator. It is the behavior of someone determined to do better than the generations before him. And Meghan Markle, often spoken about but rarely listened to, continues to stand alongside her husband not as a strategist pulling strings, but as a partner who understands the cost of silence and the value of self-preservation. Together they are not cornering anyone. They are carving out a life defined by intention rather than obligation. In the end, the loudest voices questioning their motives are not living their lives. They are not raising their children. They are not carrying the weight of public trauma into private relationships. Harry and Meghan are. And that reality deserves far more empathy than it has been given.